All right. Hey, Dick. Hi. How are you? How you doing, buddy?
Good, man.
Yeah.
Having some Kofifi.
Yes.
I had to pack up my beautiful Jar Jar sculpture this morning to
I, w-
send him on his way to the
I was
lucky
gonna
winner.
ask about that. That's not Twitch TOS. I can't show it on Twitch, can I?
I mean, I showed it on Twitch the other night,
All
but
right.
like I
Yeah.
don't we don't have like, let's just say that we view the Twitch TOS more like guidelines than actual
Yeah.
rules. You know, it's like a pirate code.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dick, I'm noticing now that your room colors are wonderful and spectacular and bisexual, and I love it.
I put the bisexual lighting on just for you.
That was for me. I was wondering. You're sort of biting on my my brand over here, but it's a good look. I love it.
I do it. I don't do it often. Like sometimes Erica will request it, but it's actually, I don't know how you do yours,
Yeah.
but like mine is just a happy coincidence because I bought like I was watching this like live stream of like on YouTube of just some lo-fi shit that I put on the background when I was doing homework, and it was like of this dude laying on the floor staring at LED cable lights, you know, all around his room, and I was like, and then could see the night sky, like the city skyline out his window, and I'm like, that looks cool as shit. That looks like chill vibes, you know. I want that, so I bought some like LED cable lights, and I strung them up around the room here, and they're just blue, but when you turn them on, it mixes with yellow light, it turns pink.
It's beautiful. It really works, Dick. Beautiful, dude.
Lucky.
Sometimes you just get lucky, and that's how it is. But I am mad at you that you're biting on my style here. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Just want to get that out of the way. Hey, so Dick, we've invited you here today in the spirit of building lefty unity, spirit, and power. And in the same spirit, I thank you for joining me. Thank you for being willing to share your story and your pathway politically, etc., ideologically, if you will, and then you know, we're going to have you share some life tips, some life hacks, and then lastly, we'll do a little questionnaire and whatnot. So let's go ahead and begin. I'd love to ask you, you know, where you are, important titles that you have these days, and maybe where people can find you on social media.
Yeah, so I am in Northern Virginia. I'm just outside of DC.
Right.
DC's right across the bridge there. I've been here for like, shit, it's gonna be like six years now. And yeah, I came out here after college to work in like the nonprofit sector and became disenchanted with that over time. I was working at a veterans nonprofit when I first came here, making jack shit for money, and like a good little capitalist pig dog, I worked my ass off for no extra money because I didn't have a life. So why not do that? Trying to find some purpose and meaning. And the capitalist pig dogs above me were like, man, I guess we can exploit some more labor out of this idiot, and hired me on full time for like double the salary because I was like at AmeriCorps Vista making $16K to live in DC when I first came out here. Are you familiar with the AmeriCorps program, Dan?
I worked in the AmeriCorps program.
Oh, you did?
I
we
did.
Talked about this already?
I did a 6-month term of service, working in the trail crews along the Pacific Crest Trail and in that area. So I lived in Washington and Oregon, living out of my tent for about 6 months. It was easily one of the best times of my life. It's fantastic.
That sounds so dope.
Yeah. But yep, obviously, you picked a different AmeriCorps and you fucked up.
I really did.
You should have done mine.
I really did. Well,
hung.
I thought I was coming to the halls of the empire here. You know, I was like, oh, well, this is my way in. I wanted to come pull the strings of power because I was basically a dumb lib then when I came out here. I was like, I can change it from the inside, which is just the dumbest thing ever thinking about it now, you know?
So, how about we move along? I'd love to chat about how we know each other. I think I'm just aware of you because you're on the Left Flank Vets, and you were just a bigger lefty streamer as I was sort of like entering the lefty streaming space, and I probably hung out in your chat for a while, and And eventually I think y'all become aware of me and then asked me to do a little bit of help for you with your stream, with your Skype that y'all do as well. And I think that's pretty much the hookup, right? And I do want to throw this out there. There's this amazing pipeline from literally Erica's Twitter to Twitch, to y'all's Twitch, and then to my channel. There's like a pipeline that exists, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we were very fortunate to have like a huge platform already via, well, Erica's Twitter for one, and then the Left Flank account too. Mm-hmm. So like when we came to Twitch, we had a built-in audience. You know, like it was like we could constantly be pushing out to thousands of people. We're going live, but I mean, it's still like it was just me like streaming games at first, because I like asked the rest of the Left Flank crew, like before we were even like an official thing. We were just like a loose association of guy man dude bros, most of us, who were ship posting to the Left Flank account. And I was like, hey, I think I would like to do some gaming on Twitch, like make a Left Flank account. And they're like, okay. And then I was like streaming to like 4 or 5 people. And then we started the show to like counteract the recruiting shit that the fucking Army esports team, the Navy idiots were doing. And because we were wanted to offer a cool alternative to the dumb shit that like, oh, let's play COD and talk about how you can get money for college, bro. And we wanted to counteract that. And then I was very quickly like, oh, this thing's about to make money, because we got like affiliate status pretty quick because of the built-in audience. Yeah. And they were like, okay. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable just taking the money from this channel, so we got to like make our thing official, Okay. And then Marcus discovered you, and you helped us make our stream more professional, because yours is still 10 times more polished than ours.
Thanks.
Because you know what you're doing. Your stream.
Y'all are doing a great job, I think. And it's hard. Streaming is hard. It's there's a lot that goes into it. Just so everybody knows. You can call us boomers all you like, but how about you try to do it? Okay, prove me wrong. Make it look easy. All right.
It's like, it's so weird too, producing and like producing the stream and being entertaining at the same time.
Me?
Like,
no, I've hired Brian. He does the voiceovers, and he's also changing the scenes here. I'm the talent now. No, yeah, I am like changed. I'm doing it, but really, I just control like 3 things at this point. I've made it easy. I've made it easy on myself. I make it look easy as well.
I think I've made it hard. I think because because like when we use Streamlabs OBS with each other, and like we probably shouldn't use that. Like you've said before, that just the regular like OBS Studio is better.
It's worse on your computer. Yeah, it's like taxing. It's extra taxing on your computers as well. This is what I've been learning. OBS is better for your computer. Slobs is a slob, dude. Yep.
Because we drop frames a lot. I mean, I run this shit on a gaming my little gaming laptop, which is pretty beefy. Yeah. But I have fucking shit hot internet. I don't know how I lucked out. I'm here in like Raytheon Acres in Northern Virginia, so I guess that's why I got shit hot internet for like a regular price. But even that, like sometimes I drop frames.
Are you dropping frames to the network? Obviously, you can look at your stats while you're streaming, and I would definitely encourage that. Look at your live stats. There's a little panel that you can pull up, and it'll show you what your current frame rate is. It'll show you where you're dropping frames, either due to rendering for your GPU or encoding for your GPU, or if it's actually an issue with your network itself, and it can actually help you to pinpoint where your bottlenecks are.
I gotta take a look at that.
Slobs has you can pull up those stats, but again, I would suggest a hard switch to OBS as soon as y'all can. It's a crutch. But I used it too at some point, and the only reason I stopped using it was because I was actually having trouble streaming to Twitch. People couldn't see my stream, and the Streamlabs people couldn't figure it out, but I could do it fine on OBS. And really at that time, I wanted to start digging into taking the stream to the next level with like plugins and stuff. And anyways, it's not about me. This isn't about me. This is about you, Dick. And I'm really happy you're here to join us to chat about your story. I want to launch into this a little bit more in depth here. Just let me pull up my question here.
Sure.
Yeah. So, actually, this is a little bit of a time actually for you just sort of like do a little bit of like what's grinding your gears, what's on your mind these days. You could take this any direction you want, Dick. This is sort of like open time for chatter.
Well, just in case anyone in the chat isn't aware of like left flank vets, our whole thing is being anti-military industrial complex, anti-war, pro-political revolution, anti-police state, right? And like obviously the big thing in the forefront of everyone's mind right now in the zeitgeist, and ours too, is the fucking dog shit police state that we live under, and what's happening in just outside of Minneapolis right now. The people are drawing a lot of contrast here, but about like, it's incredible how quickly we can get the fucking military out to beat down a bunch of fucking black people who are mad about being murdered repeatedly. But gosh darn it, it's so hard to figure out what the phone number is when they're breaking down the Capitol doors. Like it's when the fucking Q psychos and right-wing chuds and literal Nazis are breaking down the doors. It's so hard to do that. But so it just goes to show you that there is no like, this is the direct intersection of like our politics at Left Flank, where like the police state and the military industrial complex are increasingly intertwined in an unholy union. And it is inherently political. It is inherently political. All war is inherently political. There is no extracting politics from conflict and war. And domestic conflict like this one is a real political struggle. And the use of the military to do that is an inherently political maneuver. Calling up of the National Guard to protect fucking property, and Joe Biden coming out publicly and saying with his fucking chest, we need to look at all the, so it appears to be an accident. Let's everyone just calm down about that. But if you fucking smash one Target window, if you like knock over one bargain bin, I swear to God, I'll kill all of you. Like, oh my gosh, insane shit that they are. That the state is solidifying itself around, cannot allow the lefties or the marginalized black and brown peoples to think for a moment that will allow them to exercise outrage when we murder one of them. Especially, and even when this taser thing, I think is now a tactical strategy by police too. Like the idea that like she is a 20-year veteran of the force. She is the president of the police union, and the taser pulling your, if you don't know, chat, right? Cops with their taser on their left side and their pistol on their right. To draw your taser is a cross draw across your body like a this, and then you pull that out to shoot to tag somebody. And it is far lighter than a fully loaded pistol. And the pistol is right here. Now, if you're telling me that this 20-year veteran of the force got so scared by a black teenager fucking running off that she had to pull her pistol, like she got so scared she didn't know the difference between a pistol and a taser, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, there's no level of training or experience that could have prevented that. So what they've done is prove to us, in my opinion, that they don't deserve either. Let's take them both.
You don't think like there's like a class that'll teach someone that doesn't currently value an unarmed black man's life? There's no class that they could take to teach them that? Is that what you're saying? What a shitty attitude, dude. You've just given up. It seems like you've given up.
Yeah, what is it like? You're just fuck. There was a term. Someone came in our chat one time. Like we were literally talking about electoralism one time, and we're like, here's how you should like probably go about pursuing this particular policy or something. Like we were doing like a campaign to like call your senator type thing, and someone came in and called us like dead ender leftists. Like, oh, you're just a bunch of dead ender leftists because you're criticizing Biden. Like we're literally telling people to participate in the political process. Now, you fucking idiot. You know? Right. But about your comment there, Dan, about the the class thing. Do you remember over the summer? I think it was either LA, it was somewhere in
Right.
SoCal. The black man who did the cultural sensitivity training for the local police department got shot in the dick with a fucking giant rubber bullet that probably made him sterile.
Oh my God, dude.
At
What
a
is this
protest.
hellscape? What is this place?
So it doesn't even if you are the model minority teaching the class on how to tell the cops, like, listen, I get it, your jobs are stressful, but here's how you can be more sensitive. That won't save you. They'll literally shoot your dick off at a fucking protest.
Oh my God, they'll shoot your fucking dick off. This is just the worst place to imagine. You don't have to imagine it. It's real.
No, it's exactly. You don't have to imagine it. The truth is stranger than fiction. The truth is always going to be stranger and more horrible than anything you could imagine. It's already happened and worse.
I don't know, Dick. Is it like escalating? Is it like getting worse? This like response, like we can't seem to, people can't seem to protest violent police without them violently responding to the protest. And at what point, like, is that different from like a fascist state?
I mean, it's the fascism and police state are synonymous in a certain sense, whereas like, but the difference is it's fascism for thee and not for me kind of thing. Like it's going to continue to be instead of actually funneling money into helping people and uplifting marginalized communities and removing the incentives for the exact crime that they're worried about, which a lot of times is just crime that they've created.
Exactly.
You know, like weed, like weed laws so they can fill their for-profit prisons and shit like that is literal crimes that they've just pulled out of their ass already. But if you want to prevent things like that, best thing to do, proven time and time again, is to remove the incentives for people to commit crimes as you define them. And that will prevent it. So what we're in a weird spot right now though, Dan, in terms of like escalation, where over the summer I had a lot more hope in terms of like the like broad coalition and solidarity that was being built around the movement against police violence because of George Floyd's, like the egregious murder that we all watched happen on tape. That absolutely gut-wrenching murder of a man without a gun, just slowly had the life choked out of him. That spurred a lot of people to action that wouldn't have otherwise been, and it's a perfect storm of conditions. It's the pandemic had been going for over 6 months, so people were like ready to get out of fucking lockdown. They were ready to go fucking do something about. They were ready to go, like they wanted to go outside without feeling bad about like they weren't doing something for the public good. This was something for the public good. I could go out. I need to go out there, myself included. I had barely left my house until that point.
Yeah.
And I went to protest.
Same.
And it was a way for you to go do something without feeling bad about leaving the house. Because you were spreading the stop the fucking spread kind of thing. But obviously a lot of that had to do with people believing this was a unique problem under the Trump administration. And now that threat is gone. So as the virus lets up and more people get vaccinated, less people give a shit about it. There's not that incentive anymore, like the cabin fever syndrome that makes you go protest. And then, and then there's Joe Biden in the White House too. So what we're going to see is people saying, well, look, I don't need to go protest because there's no Cheeto in the White House. You got Joe Biden there, and Joe Biden is the most progressive president we've ever had, you guys. He did the American Rescue Act. He wrote it himself, he said. And that's helping. There's less children in poverty and all this. Like, how can I complain about this anymore? How can I go out there and protest when it takes incrementalism, you guys. It takes a little time for these things to get fixed, and you're just being impatient. I think that's what's going to happen is like there's going to be a stalwart like vanguard of people who are going to continue to scream at the top of our lungs about the pain and misery that has always been caused by the police state. It doesn't matter who's in the White House, and it is continuing under Joe Biden. That's a favorable assessment. Like, it's probably being expanded under Joe Biden. Like, since January 6th, since the Capitol fell, the police state's being expanded in the name of like the please God save us from the right wing psychos, and that hammer is going to distinctly fall upon our heads, the left. It's not going to fall upon their. The example I use is like every drum circle of hippies that screams for Gaia in the National Mall is going to have like their skulls caved in by a fucking like bunch of jackbooted like National Guardsmen because they're going to be like, these were left wing Antifas who are doing this, you know. And then like that will be on the left hand side. They'll have their skulls caved in. And then on the right hand side, they will storm a couple of like militia compounds and do Waco style like terrorist attacks, domestic terror, like gunfights with the ATF or something on the right. They'll do a couple of those, but they always get to balance it out with a little bit of leftist skull crushing, and that'll be the same. That's where we're headed, I think.
So you got the police state on your mind. Dick, would it be okay if I asked you to be my police state correspondent, and we can sort of check in and keep track of that bullshit?
Sure.
Amongst other things, of course.
Yeah.
Amongst others, of course. I just really appreciate that you brought that up and lent that your voice. So let's move on then, Dick.
Okay.
So this next topic here is, well, where are they now? So, you could talk a little bit more about your current projects. You've already talked about Left Flank Vets. You could talk more about that. Of course, if you have anything else professionally or anything else leftist related that you want to chat about, that's cool. Also, maybe more about that statue.
Oh, yes. That's a new hobby.
I was wondering. Okay. So, statue making. Wait, what's the term? Sculpting.
Well, it's sculpting. Yeah.
Sorry. Derp.
I think I'm gonna start doing those for commission though, because I'm getting pretty good at it.
Well, that's why we learn history, is through sculptures, right? Otherwise, we don't learn.
Statues. Yes.
Statues are just big sculptures, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, I hadn't heard about the Civil War until I saw a bust of Nathan Bedford Forrest in the capital of the Tennessee. There's
no other way to learn history. It's just sculptures. That's actually what I learned. That's actually what history teachers learn, is that they have to go make sculptures to teach history. That's the biggest thing they learn. So they got to go learn to sculpt.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, would that be awesome if your history teacher just stood up in front of the room and like slapped down like a scale model of the statue of David, and then just sat down and stared at you for the rest of the...
Oh, yes.
Of course.
No. Oh, I had no idea. Oh, that's a little funny, though.
Revealed. Oh, no. Oh, no, it's going to repeat itself. The fall of Rome is happening amongst us.
That's how we learn.
Yeah, so I guess, like you already talked about left flank, so I won't talk about left flank anymore. But,
as much as you like.
You should follow our Twitch, twitch.tv/leftflankvets. Follow us on Twitter at leftflankvets. Follow me at Warlock if you want to see me post dumb memes and pictures of my little sculptures. But I picked up the weird thing is I picked up sculpting when I was doing AmeriCorps, actually. Okay. So like at the beginning of my AmeriCorps term, you have to do like a 3-day training. I went to the 3-day training, and I had like a very granola teacher who was like, the table is filled with different Play-Dohs and pipe cleaners. So when we're learning, you can use your hands in case you're fidgeting, And I was like, what the fuck is this weirdo nonsense? I ended up making the most elaborate Play-Doh sculptures, like for the most of my classes, mostly as a way to hit on girls too that were in my class. I was like, oh, what do you want me to make you? I'll make you something, out of Play-Doh. Give me a request. And then it was just me not paying attention very much and making Play-Doh sculptures. But I learned I loved it. And it actually did help. Like, like in terms of like, I think I have a self-diagnosed like ADD.
Okay.
And so like learning like not to fidget, like by giving something with my to do with my hands actually helps. And then I picked it back up years later. Recently, this is gonna actually. I'll show it to you. No,
Yeah.
I can't because you don't want me to show. It's vulgar. I made.
I was one. Yeah. I just I wonder about it.
I made.
It's not to protect my viewers. It's to protect my channel.
I know. I get it. Yeah. I won't put you in that position.
Just
I made a little sculpture of a cock and balls.
Yeah, give me the tweet, and then I'll just retweet the tweet so people can pull that up themselves. I'm looking through your Twitter right now.
Oh, the Jar Jar.
Yeah, is that what we're talking about? Am I
joking?
No,
so when I first got back into sculpting, I literally just made just a cock and balls out of the wax that's wrapped around like those little baby bells like cheese. And I was like, damn, this is real good. And then my wife.
That's how you got into sculpting.
Yeah. My wife was like, well, I have some clay if you want to make something. And then I made here. I got some non-vulgar ones I can show.
Okay. Yes, please.
So I
did drop the tweet to the amazingly vulgar one. It's so obscene. Actually, it doesn't include the vulgar part. That's adorable. Do you like fire that? Do you like fire it up? It's
polymer clay. You just put it in the oven for like 15 minutes.
That's adorable.
I made that little cacti, and then I made this guy, a little pineapple.
A little pineapple.
Yeah. So like
cute.
We have like a theme in our household because my wife is here from Virginia, and the Virginia does the pineapple thing because it's like a sign of hospitality. And then I came from Arizona when I went to college out there, and so we do like cacti, pineapple, and then lobsters because I grew up in Maine.
Okay.
So I made a lobster too. It's out there, but I made a lobster, and then I made her like a little like Italian chef with like who has a heart on a plate, and he's going like making a chef's kiss, giving it. I made that for my wife for Valentine's too.
I was honestly impressed. This again, I'm not pulling it up on stream here, but I am definitely looking at it, and this is a pure reaction. It's like really well done. And I'm like, I had no idea this guy fucking sculpts. Like, do you even sculpt, bro? And Dick's like, yeah, I sculpt. You sculpt dicks, big veiny dicks. My God, dude, you put veins in them. I hate you.
Yep, I put the meme. See, it's based on a meme that I.
Now I'm talking about it. Might as well show it. Okay, go on. Yeah. You used to send this to people, and then the left flank vets, they had a vote. I heard, and then they said that you can't use it anymore on the left flank vets Twitter account. I love how they had to vote on it, and it's so like official.
They had like an intervention. It was for the record. Erica was not involved. It was just Lorax and Marcus, but they were like Lorax was like, Dick, I want to propose a ban on using the Jar Jar from the official left flank vets account. And I was like, what? I was like, you fucking kidding me? I got mad. And I was like, Marcus, I need you to weigh in. And he was like, bro, probably a bad look. Like, if we're going to try and get like Congress people and shit to come on our show, to talk to us, like they might not like that look when you're just like, someone's like, you're arguing with someone on Twitter and you just reply with a thick hog Jar Jar, like, come on, man. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll just relegate it to my personal. But then like it became a meme to talk about that, like amongst our diehard fans. And they were like, Dick, you need to make the Jar Jar sculpture. And I already had this giant stand of like a figure. It's like a metal, because underneath the Jar Jar is the metal, a metal frame, right?
Like a person frame.
Yeah.
Frame. Yeah.
And I already bought that because my next project I was going to do the statue of David that lost his hog. Only I was going to give him a massive hog. It was going to be like. I was going to do a perfect recreation. I wanted it to be a beautiful piece of art, but then big old dick just fucking flopped out there, I was going to do that. And then they were like, Jar Jar meme when? And I was like, okay, I have to do the Jar Jar now. So I tried to make it as authentically emulating
Yeah.
the Jar Jar meme that I used to troll people as possible. And it took me hours and hours and hours.
I bet. It's really
And
well done.
The dick fell off in the oven, too. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
So here's a warning, chat. The hog is so large that it needed what it needed in the meme. There's no testes, right? But the testes provide like a fulcrum for the hog upon which the hog to rest, right? And there was no fulcrum there. So the hog was so large that when it started to bake, like the where it joins the body started to harden, and then it like I was literally watching it because I get so scared that my sculptures are going to break while they're in the oven that I sit there in front of the oven and watch it bake, and then I just heard it go donk, and I was like, no. They had to take it out. They had to perform emergency surgery.
Oh, that's obscene. So you're doing good work. I think we'll be able to reflect on this later, with some even better context. That'll make this even better, I think. How about this? Anything else you wanted to chat about your current projects, lefty or professional? Anything else we're leaving out? You could chat about anything you're willing to.
No, nothing that. I got another thing in the works, but nothing I could talk about now. I'll just tease that maybe I might be able to talk about it at some time in the future, but I got to keep it a secret for now.
Okay. I like secrets. Then next up, Dick, I'd like to talk about your leftward bound journey. So a little talk about pathway, your pathway towards leftism. Or left adjacentism, and on the show we say you don't have to define in any way your ideology or politics. If you don't like to, you're more than welcome to as well. So have at it. What brought you here to your politics? Foremost things that pop into your mind. Maybe others will be able to relate.
So, as many in the chat probably know, me being part of Left Flank Vets, I was in the military. I joined the Army straight out of high school, and I like to joke that I did it because, which is only half joking. Like, I watched too many war movies. Like, I watched Black Hawk Down too many times, and Band of Brothers. I was like, I want to go be like a fucking airborne ranger. I want to go fucking kick down doors and defend freedom in America. I want to be like, I had something to prove. Like, it was like, I wanted to be a part of like a very tight-knit community of guy, man, dude bros. Fighting for a righteous cause, and I also had something to prove to my friends and family about like what a fucking testosterone addled man beast I was, right? And this was as like a 150-pound soaking wet, like lanky ass white teenager, So I was like, this is going to help me prove my manhood. I'm going to go and for a righteous cause. So like, I went I was already kind of like left leaning, meaning like thinking that like, there are a lot of psycho chuds that are trying to co-opt our government, but like there's such thing as good conflict too, and like, there's righteous conflicts we can take place in. There's like misguided conflicts where the tactics are bad. We just need better strategy kind of thing. And so I went in with that mindset, and I ended up going to Afghanistan, of course. I joined the infantry in the Army. I never became a ranger. I tried, and I flunked out of going to the ranger program by one pull-up because I'm a skinny little bastard. I couldn't do 6 pull-ups. I did 5 very ugly ones, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
I ended up in a Stryker brigade up in Washington, up at Fort Lewis, up there, stationed up there for almost my entire enlistment, and then I went to Afghanistan. So in Afghanistan, we went there as the first unit that Obama sent as part of his surge in 2009. And as some of you kiddos in the chat might not know, was like after 2003, when we invaded Iraq, Afghanistan got put on the back burner, and all the thrust of the troops was being sent to Iraq for years and years, and there was like a skeleton crew in Afghanistan. And so it allowed the Taliban to regroup while we were fighting in the Sunni Triangle in Iraq and doing the surge there, right? And the surge had been so successful in Iraq that Obama decided, well, we got to, instead of pulling the troops out like he said he was probably going to do during his campaign, we're going to fully commit and we're going to get this fucking, we're going to tie a nice little bow in this Afghan war just like we did in Iraq, all right? And my unit was next in the rotation. We were supposed to go to Iraq. We trained for Iraq. We had the vehicles for Iraq. And they sent my Stryker brigade to Afghanistan. And it was a fucking shit show from the fucking outset. We had a commander from my brigade that didn't believe in counterinsurgency operations, which was the literal like textbook at the time, which means like hearts and minds shit, right? He literally pulled out like a manual for counter guerrilla operations, which was like Vietnam, like halfway through Vietnam shit. Like we dispensed with this because it was so counterproductive. But it was like the idea of like close with, destroy the enemy, find the guerrillas, kill them. Don't worry about the civilians. If they get in the way, fuck them, you know? So we tried that strategy, and what we ended up doing was getting marked left and right. Like there were several like catastrophic kills on our vehicles, meaning like vehicle got blown up by IEDs. Everyone inside the vehicle got killed. I got blown up and they gave me a Purple Heart for the boo-boo I got on my leg. But my friend was the driver. He got killed. We lost like 3 guys in our unit. Our forward observer stepped on an IED and literally got turned to fucking pink mist right in front of me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was horrifying.
Funny.
It's horrifying war shit, you know, like, and it had a profound effect on me. But like, here's the thing, man, is like, we signed up for that shit, right? Like these were kids who died. Like both of those people I'm describing, were like 18-year-old kids. But we signed up for that shit. We were the dumbasses who like, we were definitely like propagandized and stuff, and you can make arguments about whether or not it's moral or not all day, depending on who you talk to, and whether or not we were morally complicit in it. I take responsibility for my decision to do that. It was a bad idea. And I lost those friends in a conflict that they decided to join. What really deeply affected me and sent me on my leftward journey was the effects it had on the people of Afghanistan, and especially the children. Okay. Like when I said this on stream yesterday, actually, I was like, the first time I saw a child die was the time that I decided that I was never going to be pro-conflict for the rest of my life. Like I was going to, war would be an absolute last resort for the rest of my life, because I thought, like, I remember I literally held a child. He cried on my shoulder and told my interpreter about he was shot. He was being treated, and I was waiting to put him on a helicopter in a medevac. He'd been caught in the crossfire in a firefight we have with the Taliban, and he was telling the interpreter about how him and his father were walking home from the orchards, from the fields after they were working during the day. It was the middle of harvest season. And they ended up right in the middle of a Taliban offensive on our little outpost. And I'm pretty sure one of our guys shot this kid and killed his father right in front of him from the rooftop, because it was a chaotic situation where everybody was shooting every which way. And they were caught in the crossfire. So he told me the story about how he watched his father get shot right in front of him while he was getting shot too, and he survived. And his uncle was there too, and he was telling me, I'm gonna take this kid away from here, and I'm never coming back. Like, so he lost a bunch of his family, his brother, that day. I remember thinking to myself, like, this plays out every single day in this country. This is one tiny incident that plays out every single day in this country, and this whatever we're trying to accomplish here isn't worth one of these incidents. Not one child death, one one loss of a village, that gets destroyed in this crossfire. It's not worth it at all. It's horrifying. And these people did not sign up for this. They did not sign up for this. These people had no fucking say in this conflict, right? What's this kid supposed to do? Go expel the Taliban himself from the country to make sure we don't invade? No say in it whatsoever. I signed up for that shit. So I always try to bring it back. I was reminding people yesterday about this on my on my show. I do. You don't know Dick. I was talking about QAnon and shit, and we were talking about accelerationism. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to remind people, I'm like, you can be an epic commie online all you want and talk about the revolution, but I promise you don't want that. I promise you don't, because what that means is you and everyone you love being murdered, tortured, dying in agony. You don't want that. Like, you should work to avoid that every day of your life. You shouldn't be epically trying to like bring about a revolution which gets you and everyone you love killed. You should be like, you can post about that all day, but you don't know what you're signing up for. So don't like think about what you're fucking saying, because it makes me mad as a guy who's seen that shit a lot. Like, it's not that I don't like posting a guillotine meme as much as the next guy, and it's not that I don't think that conflict might be necessary. In a greater struggle for liberation. That might be the case, but like, you should fucking think about it's not a fantasy where you get to like epically charge with your AK and take down the fucking oppressors and be victorious. It's not the case. Anywho, after I get out of the army, like I said, I came out here to DC and I decided I'm going to work in a nonprofit for veterans in hopes that I can get into the halls of power and maybe even into like working staff in Congress or be a diplomat in the State Department. Like, I had all these after college like ideas about how I was going to work on the opposite side of things and try to prevent conflict from the inside. And what I saw was just I saw the nonprofit industrial complex at work. I saw in the veterans nonprofit space, it was a whole lot of people working to champion the social programs that were very effective in assisting veterans, and working to preserve them from with conservative talking points about how you need to pay, we need to make sure we have a pay for it. Like, let's introduce new taxes on the troops themselves or on individual Americans rather than putting it on the credit card that we put the fucking war on at the same time. Or also trying to preserve those benefits exclusively for veterans, not using it as a platform to expand it outwards, just saying that you should do tweaks and reforms to existing veteran programs and maybe even make sure that they're not abused by certain veterans too. And I remember thinking to myself, as I learned more about how effective the veterans programs had been, why this couldn't be expanded beyond, the veterans it was helping. For example, the example I use a lot is the GI Bill of Rights, the original GI Bill after World War II. The original GI Bill is the single most effective social mobility program in the history of the United States.
Wow. Okay.
We sent hundreds of thousands of veterans to college, and we paid for it, all of it, when they got back from World War II. And literally they had to make new housing in gymnasiums at Harvard to put veterans in. Wow. And they were scared shitless about basically classism came into play immediately, because there was a bunch of this classism in the military, enlisted and officer. And all these enlisted guys were coming in. They're like, who are these ruffians invading our campuses? And what happened was, of course, they came in, they worked their ass off, they got good grades. And the study that they did after the fact was that for every dollar they invested in sending a veteran to college, it was returned sevenfold in GDP in the United States. The post-war boom was fueled by that massive influx or investment in the veteran population when they came back from World War II, because it was a shit ton of people. Now, like a lot of the veterans orgs, and some people will tell you like, well, yeah, that's because the veteran is uniquely disciplined in learning, in being able to hit the books. No, you just gave people an opportunity to go. These fuckers at Harvard and Yale and all these fucking Ivy League dipshits aren't any smarter than anyone else. They're not smart. There's no innate qualities or like special work ethic that they have. They're fucking people who just have the means and connections to get into those halls. And once the layperson was this should be an example. Once the layperson was given that ability, that same chance, they outperformed those fucking blue blood assholes. Mm-hmm. And that should be an example to the rest of us. So I learned about this, and I was very disappointed in what was happening in that nonprofit sector. I ended up going to work for a trade association after that. I also saw some very fucked up like internal like inter-office politics where like I saw like misogyny, sexual harassment, racism, at play. And it was also like a very like white. It was like everyone I worked with was like a white dude like me. I was like, I don't want to hang out with myself all day. I'm not. That's not my bag. So I went to go work for a trade association that was far more diverse and was focused on like doing HR shit. And so I thought like, I saw what happens when you don't have like good HR internally, meaning like someone who can make sure that like racism and shit doesn't happen, because that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And then I quickly learned that like, oh, that's not what HR does at all. HR is there to protect the company and make sure that like make sure that there's a veneer of respect and dignity that is easily violated, but can be thrown onto the table when there's a lawsuit or something, and to stifle labor rights. Yeah. So I was asked to resign from my job after raising some ethical concerns, and that was right at the beginning of the pandemic.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
They should call it corporate resources. It's an outright lie. It's not for humans.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because human resources is like a weird term unto itself if you think about it, right? Like I'm taking it's a little like Soylent Green stuff. Like I'm taking a person and shoving them into a machine. So they've changed it now. Like a lot of places are rebranding their HR into like people and culture.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh God. Kill it with fire.
Right. So now I'm here. Now, when the pandemic started, we all got radicalized a little bit. I got radicalized even further. I realized that I could not continue to try and change things from the inside, and I decided the way we ended up starting Left Flank and doing the Twitch thing, and trying to bring a voice to the platform. To a couple platforms, I guess. Bring the distinctly leftist veteran perspective, because a lot of people don't know leftist veterans exist. They assume we're all chuds. And I like to remind people that the military is the single largest jobs program this country has, and is the most socialist institution we have. Every member of the military is giving food, lodging, and housing, and healthcare. And it is very effective for serving that population. Why the fuck wouldn't the rest of us benefit from that as well?
So as we wrap up your leftward bound discussion here, it seems like your experience in the military, you were in the Army. I'm sorry, what did you eventually do? What was like your little troop, your brigade? I'm so sorry to fucking botch this so badly.
Oh, no. There's no reason you should know it. I was part of a Stryker brigade, which is just a Stryker is an 8-wheeled like armored personnel carrier. Oh, okay. It's a fancy. It's a death trap. Like I said, a lot of them got blown up. They don't even use them anymore, I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's a red flag.
that was the brigade I was a part of. It was built around this vehicle that was supposed to be this great urban fighting vehicle, which we took into the hills and valleys of Afghanistan. And they all broke down immediately and got blown to shit. Yeah,
that sucks. We're number one, and I think you pointed specifically at obviously the effects, the side effects of war that are often not mentioned. We don't hear about, but when you sort of multiply it to the size of the country, you realize that these stories are widespread and deeply unsettling, and that's one of the things that was pushing you to the left, huh, Dick?
Yeah. I mean, war will change you for sure. That experience is deeply affecting. But what I also remind people is that not everyone comes out like fucking born on the 4th of July, like my dumbass, like coming out being strictly anti-war. I have friends who went the exact opposite route. And what I like to say is that experience is so extreme and so solidifying that like you will try to go the mental gymnastics required to justify it. Your brain will do it because it cannot fathom that you went through this much blood and misery and stuff for nothing. They can't fathom that this was for naught. You didn't lose those friends for no reason. There was a cause that you fought for. And it is very, very hard and for some people impossible to extricate that programming from their brain because it's a protective mechanism. They have to believe it was for something. And it was painful for me to come to that realization. It took me years. To realize it was all for naught because it was so painful to like watch my friends die. I didn't want to believe they died for nothing. But I believe that now. I believe it's a horrible thing, a horrible reality we have to face. And not just me personally, but as a country. We have to face that in order to save more people's lives. And obviously, not just... I hate centering it on myself or the American troops because the misery of the Afghan people, of the Iraqi people, is exponentially greater than anything my dumbass who signed in the dotted line ever suffered. And that's what we should be focused on. Those are real people, real humans who had no say in this. And we kill them in droves every day.
Dick, I'm terribly sorry to hear that you lost your friends.
Well, thank you. Well, like I said, I appreciate that, and it took me a while to come to terms with, like I said, and if there's veterans in the chat who are suffering themselves from the after effects of war, I should say too that like my political journey did not heal my suffering. I had to go through years of intensive therapy, like through the VA, and it was life-changing. Like it was incredibly life-changing in the sense too, like it made me realize that to separate my existing neuroses and the fucked up side of my brain that existed before I went to war, and then my trauma during, and how to package that afterwards. Once I was able to recognize that like I was a weirdo, I was an anxious weirdo before I went to Afghanistan, and the trauma there exacerbated all of that, obviously, and compounded it. That was a good realization for me. I learned how to deal with my everyday anxieties and depression and shit like that, but also recognize that there was real post-traumatic stress disorder as well. So I encourage everyone I would like to say is everyone should go to therapy. Everyone should be in therapy. Like you should be able to have someone that can help you parse your bullshit all the time. And obviously, not everyone can afford it. Like everyone should be in it. Not everyone can. I'm fortunate now where I'm still able to see a shrink at regular intervals and keep the maintenance on my brain required after all that trauma, because it can resurface too. It happened just recently, actually. I watched too much of the George Floyd trial. I watched George Floyd get murdered too many times, and I had horrific nightmares.
Oh no, Dick, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I just had to recognize then, like, oh, I can't watch this as much because it's deeply affected to me. Like it'll bring up, you don't have to go through trauma for that to be deeply affecting either. Right, I should say. Fair. You can just be a regular human, and that could be deeply, like you said, like it deeply affected you. And I obviously don't know your trauma, but like you don't have to have gone to war to see a man be murdered on tape repeatedly and have that scare you and traumatize you for the first time. Even that's yeah.
Dick, that transitions perfectly into the next topic of chat. Hashtag be best. Yeah, so if you had the chance to go back in time, maybe teach a younger version of yourself, you've already touched on a few things. You're talking about getting therapy. That's really good shit. Otherwise, like life or career, like shortcuts or life hacks, any kind of answers are welcome. Yeah.
Well, in terms of being like segueing right from what we were just talking about into being best, I would say that like there is a tendency, I think, on the left here to embrace a fatalist or defeatist attitude towards their own mental illnesses under capitalism. You know what I mean? Like the experience, like there is a theory on the left that like it is inherently traumatic to live under capitalism and its many woes that it's caused, right? And I won't disagree with that. Like it is a deeply affecting and pernicious system of existence, and that is like it causes massive amounts of anxiety and depression amongst people due to trauma, but also just to the precarious nature of the system, of you living in it. You know that you could be fired at any time for any reason, and you could lose everything that, like, every creature comfort that you have in this world to protect you and your family from the elements in the outside world, right? That's inherently, but I would say that like that doesn't excuse you from attempting to working on yourself in the meantime, because you can't be much help to the cause and the movement unless you are making sure that you are in a mental space where you can do it. And I struggle with this still now, especially since the pandemic. Like the for all the reasons we were talking about, like the unrest that has grown in this country since the pandemic and the accelerated nature of the division of our country into opposing sides and creating a precarious situation for the government is difficult to deal with a lot of times. Poster just fell. It's going to shut at me. Speaking of anxiety, so like that's difficult to deal with, and you should attempt to be working on it. Like if you can afford it or you have access to it, see a goddamn therapist. Also, like work hard to build upon and strengthen and maintain the relationships that you have with people in your life. I mean, people always joke. I'm very, very fortunate that I have a live-in support system. I have my wife.
Yeah.
I'm a wife guy. I'm the resident wife guy of Left Flank Vets. I love her very much. She's incredibly supportive. And I don't know what I'd do without her. I think that I would be struggling very much under this pandemic if I didn't have her to lean on. And I can't thank her enough for being that support system. But it requires work to maintain our relationship, because we also get on each other's fucking nerves all the time. Yeah. All the time, because we can't get away from each other. So it's a blessing and a curse to have the live-in support system, because you also get like no privacy, and I need that. Like I tell her, like, I love you. You're the person I enjoy spending the most time with in the world, but I need you to go away, because I don't want to be around any people right now. And so I have to, like, I lock myself away and create space for that. So I guess my general advice for being best, especially right now in the current circumstance, is if you have a support system that lives with you, and within your bubble, because the pandemic is still ongoing, then make sure that you are taking time to spend quality time with each other, because you got plenty of quantity time. Make sure you're like, we have date night every week. Every Sunday, me and the wife have date night where we pick a activity to do, watch a movie, we have dinner together, and we talk just generally about what's going on in our lives. I mean, like Animal Spider said, boundaries of communication are really important in relationships. You're setting boundaries, but you're also making sure to have worthwhile communication with one another. Now, if you don't have a live-in support system, it can be very easy to lose touch with some of those people that you value in your life outside of prior to the pandemic, when you could go fucking catch a game with the boys at the bar, or whatever you enjoy doing, like your fucking the soccer, intramural soccer league or whatever, shit like that. You couldn't do that anymore. So like, it requires actual work, and dudes have the most trouble with this. Yeah. Like, tell your boys you love them. Like, tell your friends you wish you could hug them. Like reject the toxically masculine nature of your being that has been ingrained in you, and tell your friends you love them and you miss them, and that you talk to them regularly. It's hard to do sometimes, because we're all caught up in our own bullshit, but like, make time for it. That's a way to be best.
Dick, that's wonderful, excellent advice. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Cool. I think I should do a little bit of therapy myself, and I could definitely let my friends know I love them more. Definitely, we cannot wait. We have a pretty decent group of friends, and we just haven't been able to hang out with each other. But we do like Zoom meetings pretty much each week, maybe every other week.
Because you host trivia nice. Too, right?
And I also will host trivia from time to time, but that's not a regular thing. It was a regular thing before COVID. Before they shut down all the bars, I would host probably 2-3 times a week, couple 2-3. But honestly, I'm sort of not in a huge rush to get back to that. It's sort of like a lot of work. I don't make a ton of money,
of course.
But I don't know. And I'm increasingly doing the streaming, and I don't know. I might do it less, maybe just once a week, if that. But yeah,
I've been doing that a little bit with friends.
Just a little trivia time.
Yeah, trivia with friends. Like they asked us to sign up, and we have a couple friends where we used to play this really nerdy game called Gloomhaven. Are you familiar with Gloomhaven? No. It's like think of it like a D&D campaign in a box. It's a board game, but it's like an evolving world where you're like, your character levels up and you do different scenarios together. It's like not one scenario. Like there's a board that you lay out, you choose scenarios to go to, and like there's a story to it and stuff. We played that for like 2 years before the pandemic. Yeah. And the pandemic hit and we're like, fuck. And then our friend, our buddy, my way more technically apt and nerdy friend, set up the whole game in Tabletop Simulator.
Wow,
he built our whole campaign in there, and we started playing it remotely together. It was dope.
Yeah. That's actually how we do Catan, Settlers of Catan.
Yeah.
And we were able to find a way to play online, and we sometimes we'll play games. And actually, I actually got our friends interested in Among Us, so we've played that sometimes. So we really like that, sort of like my non-gamer friends, right? That's awesome.
I play a little bit of Among Us with them too. I'm terrible at it though. I don't have a good time because I'm terrible at lying.
Fun. I know it's a funny skill set that you don't realize you can work out from time to time. Mm-hmm. Dick, let's move on then. Sure. We're going to move on to the Leftist Inquisition here, as long as you still have time. And no, we're past the hour. I still have time if you're okay.
Yeah, let me check real quick.
I'm so sorry. This has gone a little longer than we scheduled.
Oh, no, it's fine. Let me make sure that I don't have... I got a left flank business thing I got to do at some point, but I just want to make sure it's not now. Mm-hmm. I asked my compadre what time the thing was, and he answered with a time and a question mark. I was like,
wait, maybe?
Yeah, like... I'm like, I thought you were the one who knew what time we had to do this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're good. We're good for now, though, Dan. We can
All
keep
right.
going.
So in the Leftist Inquisition, we'll go ahead and sort of a more of a lighthearted quiz with maybe some more introspection towards the end. Your favorite word, Dick? What's your favorite word?
Ooh. Damn. That's a good one. Shit. I gotta think for a minute. What is my favorite word? Damn, like, see, I think of, like, I've memorized, like, little, like, adverbs and like, or not adverb, proverbs and quotes and stuff that I'm able to trot out quickly. But my favorite word, god damn. Okay, in the interest of the left flank spirit, I'm gonna say racket.
Racket.
War is a racket.
War is a racket. Amen. Amen. Dick, your least favorite word?
Oh shit. I'm going to keep it in the same vein here, but I'm trying to think of the best one for it. My least favorite word would be, how about preemptive?
Preemptive. Dude, was that like in the lexicon? Was that like a word that was used before
Yes.
GW?
Yes.
It was a word.
It was a word that...
They just really leaned into it.
Yep. You have to do the preemptive strike. That's the Bush doctrine, man. That's what you have to lean in. Did you hear about the guy who tried to... the guy who was in a feud with his neighbor? I believe his neighbor shot up his house with a paintball gun, and he returned fire with live ammunition, shot his neighbor, and then said his lawyer tried to claim this was a preemptive strike. He was doing the Bush doctrine because his neighbor was going to hurt him. So he tried to enact foreign policy in the cul-de-sac.
He didn't get off, did he?
I don't think so. I didn't follow up on it after the fact, but I can't imagine that was a very effective legal strategy.
Absurd.
It sounds like some sovereign citizen shit right there.
This is making it up as you go, I think it is what it is.
Right.
Well, exactly. Making it up as you go. How about a favorite drug or vice or guilty pleasure or any of it or all? Yeah.
I mean, okay, so I have got the Irish blood deep in me, so I love me the whiskey.
Got a favorite kind of whiskey or anything on your shelf right now?
So the thing is like my father-in-law always chastised me for this because he's like, well, how do you like bourbon, rye, and scotch? You know, and I'm like, they're all good. Like,
you like them all,
but I do. My favorite whiskey is because I like to think of myself as like a socialist Ron Swanson.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
Lagavulin 16.
Scotch.
It's fucking so good. And here's the thing. It's not just for the meme. Like, I bought it for the meme originally because Ron Swanson, but the shit tastes like liquid smoke. It's so good.
Love a scotch, huh? I used to, just so you know, I used to work behind the bar. I used to work at a gin bar as well, so I'm pretty good on the gin. But yeah, you know, one of my first favorite cocktail was an old fashioned because I'm like watching Mad Men. I'm like, oh, I want to be just like him.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, holy shit, this is so fucking tasty. And that was the first cocktail I learned to make.
Manhattans are really good, and it's a very simple drink.
Yeah, Manhattan, old fashions, all of the above. Hey, next. How about, Dick, a sound or a noise that you love?
Oh, a sound or a noise. I'm not an ASMR guy.
No.
No. A noise that I love. This will sound really weird, but I'll tell a quick story involving it.
Great.
But I have a very, very fond memory of when I went to Egypt just before like 6 months before COVID hit. I had some friends out there in the State Department. I was able to go visit them, stationed in Cairo, and so I was able to go there, and they were able to show us around, and their Arabic is good and mine's terrible. So like it removed a lot of the anxiety that you'd normally have going to like a very chaotic country like Egypt is. Cairo is like one of the biggest cities in the world. It's insane. But we got to go down southern Egypt to Luxor, ancient city on the Nile River. And a lot of veterans do this weird like jingoistic fucking racist shit where they talk about how like, well, I was in combat, the call to prayer happened all the time, and that shit I can't handle it now. Like I think about the call to prayer and it makes me angry and it traumatizes me, and I don't understand how you associate like this like beautiful like song most of the time that is the call to prayer with that. But when I was in Luxor, I got to go on a boat on the Nile as the sun was setting. I was with my friends and my wife, and I had a beer in my hand, and I was sitting on top of this boat, and as the sun was setting, there was like 3 or 4 different call to prayers that happened all at once. And it was like, it's one of the fondest memories of my life. It's like this beautiful melodic song that they were singing, all like in like somewhat in unison, but like formed a melody. It's like, it's hard to describe, but it's like, I still like the call to prayer. Sometimes you get in the real rural areas of Afghanistan, they had a B team going on. There was like some old guy who could not carry a tune. It was like nails on a chalkboard. But normally there's always a dude who knows what he's doing, and he fucking goes out there and makes it happen. And I think it's beautiful. Like practice.
Sorry about my mic sound there. That is beautiful. That does sound beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Dick. How about a sound or noise that you intensely dislike or hate?
So it like the opposite here. Like I said, I'm not an ASMR guy. And actually, I have a weird. I have a thing that like I'll get real cringy. Sometimes like I think it's like directly related to like, if you have anxiety, it's like I used to call like a nerve disorder, right? Well, like at night when I go to bed, I will get like a heightened like sense of cringe, right? And even during the day, I hate it when someone like whispers in my ear, like talking close to my ear, like the sensation of both the vibrations of the noise and then like the breath on your ear or something. It makes me like literally like I start to like cringe. Like I can't stand it.
I'll back off the mic a little bit for you then.
Oh no, you're good. I can't feel your breath on me, Dan. So we're good.
Not yet. Not yet. You can't. What kind of show is this?
Pandemic is almost over.
Dude. Hey, I'm just saying, I'm in Chicago. Y'all are going to have to come to me for the big meetup, which is yet to be planned. I don't know. So next question is about reincarnation. If you could come back as a plant or another animal, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to go with, you can see Bartholomew over my left shoulder.
Yeah? What? Who?
My mascot. Here, I'll go get him.
Oh, okay. The duck?
Yeah.
Bart the duck? That is like a solid-ass duck. That's like a solid piece of wood right there. Like a perfect, solid piece of wood, huh?
I've decided that the duck is my spirit animal now. Okay. This is Bartholomew, who was in a war with the geese.
That's your purple heart.
Yep. And he got this purple heart. And I would come back as a duck. I'd come back as Bartholomew.
Yeah. Does Bartholomew have a boo-boo on the leg too, or?
Yeah, he was a particularly orny Canadian goose that came at him during the. Shit, I was trying to think of like a pun for Tet Offensive for geese or something.
Oh, you have your own emote. The Bartholomew emote. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's actually adorable. Okay.
But yeah, he there was 3 or 4 of them cornered him. He managed to get 3, and the 4th one got him a bit. But he did take him down. He tactically ascertained him and removed him as a threat.
That's impressive. Way
Very
to go,
brave.
Doug. Yeah. Next, how about this? If one day you come to find out that at the end of your life, you find out that heaven and God exist, what would you like to hear them say as you arrive at your version of the pearly gates, whatever that may be?
Ooh. I hope that St. Peter tells me that thank you for Dick Warlock for making a beautiful penis-based artwork that helped bring about the fall of capitalism. Inspired millions to rise up and cast off their chains and embrace the inherent sexuality of the socialist way.
Okay. I'm so happy that you didn't take that question seriously. How about a leftist hero that you would like to meet?
So this is a tough one. I'm thinking about this, and
Yeah.
it would be either. I got 2. I'll give him my top one, but I want to give an honorable mention
There's
too.
many, yeah.
General Smedley Darlington Butler, the man himself who wrote War is a Racket. The man who went and fought in a bunch of the fucking corporate banana wars down in Latin America and the Philippines, and then in World War I, and came out the other side realizing it was all for naught, and actively worked against the military-industrial complex after that, worked to push Roosevelt to the left, and then even the business plot that was hatched, these fucking psycho right-wing chuds tried to hatch a coup attempt to take FDR out, and tried to implant Darlington, that's his middle name, Butler, General Butler, as the de facto ruler after FDR was ousted. They were going to have him like lead an army of doughboys, of World War I veterans and shit, like to take out FDR. Butler sat down, had the meeting with them, and said cool, and went right around and turned them all in.
Oh my gosh.
And said, and they had a congressional inquiry about it, where he sat down and spilled the beans and said these fuckers were trying to. He was not he was very critical of FDR and a lot of his policies, as you should be. As FDR was the most left president we ever had, but he also put the Japanese in internment camps, and the New Deal was often inherently racist as well. It was implemented in racist ways. And Butler was often critical of him. So I would like to talk to Butler about that. I want to share experiences with him. I'd love to if I could. But also Debs, of course, the great corn commie himself, Eugene Debs. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with him, because that man literally went to jail speaking out against war. So 2 of my anti-war heroes.
Eugene Debs, more like Eugene Dabs, am I right?
What that's a good Twitter name right there, Eugene V. Dabs.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone's got it. Yeah,
I bet you they do.
That would be a good alt.
There you go. No one steal it. Give it to Dan.
Dick, that's fantastic, and I appreciate you going into detail about. Please remind me of the name.
That is General Smedley Darlington Butler, author of War is a Racket.
They don't make names like that anymore. That is an incredible name.
Imagine having a middle name like Darlington and turning into an anti-war hero.
Yeah.
What up?
By the way, good name for a dog or cat or something like that. Darlington.
Right.
So I want you to reflect on that answer, and you can include any or both of them in this next answer. Let's say you had a chance to meet them today. You'd have to bring them back from the dead. It'll be a little bit creepy, but let's say you could, and you had a chance to tell them what you told me today and about your life up until this point,
Mm.
what do you think they might say about you, about your life?
Well, Butler would be like, "You fucking idiot! Why didn't you read my fucking book before you joined the army, you dumb bitch?" And smack me across the face, probably. He'd be like, "Why is the military-industrial complex stronger than it's ever been? Like, what the fuck have you been doing?" I'd hope that's what he'd say. Like, I'd hope he'd be pissed to know about Raytheon's knife missiles and the guy who was on their board is the SecDef and shit. Like, I'd hope he'd be mad. Like, there's no praise I deserve for coming to the same conclusion he did after all the shit he went through. Like, it's also like a thing where I think about this a lot, where like you can learn knowledge all day. You can give people knowledge, but you can never impart wisdom. Like, wisdom is knowledge mixed with experience, right? And so you could tell me all day about the horrors of war and how no one wins and it's a racket and all that. But if you're a dumb 18-year-old with delusions of grandeur and like starving for glory, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you can't impart the wisdom of the experience that you had, because it's inherently exciting and appealing to some idiot like me. But I'd hope he would just be like generally pissed off about this and kicking me in the ass to do more than I'm doing right now.
Okay, that's fine then, because Dick, you're alive. You're here. That's one of my favorite things, is that you're alive. And we got time left. And I know sometimes that last question can be a little hard to answer, but it's going to help us, I believe, to reflect on this next question, which is, with the time you have left, what would you like them to be able to say to you at the end of your life?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Now I have to answer this one seriously, don't I?
You don't have to. I don't give a shit. It's a stupid show.
Shit. Well, like, in the interest of like, true glory here. What I joke all the time is half joking, is that like, because I kind of believe this, is that I fully believe that like in the next 5 to 10 years, like, I will be fully ventilated by some kind of right-wing chud from a militia, or like or just one that has a badge, like another service member or a cop will, like, when I'm involved in some kind of protest, I will be fully tactically removed from a scenario and terminated with extreme prejudice. So I'd like to think that Smedley Butler would be there with me, telling me I did a good job, son, and lighting me up one last cigarette. That's all I want. I have a fantasy of, like, when I do my last stand, or I'm like bleeding out, I quit smoking a long time ago, but someone gives me a light and I get to like puff on it like a badass and then like just die. That would be sick.
It was a serious answer, but that you ended it.
Oh, I used to joke too that like the best way to go out too, you got two options. If you're gonna go out, you want to go out like a real man. You got the Brad Pitt at the end of the Legends of the Fall, or you got Liam Neeson at the end of The Gray. So literally like Bowie knife against grizzly bear,
okay,
or airplane bottles against a pack of wolves in your jagged fist.
You have a really active imagination, and that's why we like you. That's why we love you. Oh my gosh, Dick, amazing. So this does conclude my portion of the Leftist Inquisition. If you have time left, and if there are any questions from the chat that you'd like to answer, you can ignore any that you don't want to. You can feel free to answer any of those. I don't know if you've had that pulled up. And this is also your time to ask me any questions. I don't want it to be entirely one-sided. Of course, next time we have you on, we'll be able to skip through a lot of these, and we'll be able to spend more time talking about whatever we want to talk about. But yeah, what about you?
Can I interrogate you a bit? You're telling me to fuck off if this is too personal.
No. What?
But
I'm not telling. What?
I said you can. If
No.
Oh
I'm
shit!
fine.
Wait 1 second. Silver Ball Stud just brought up a great. What about Kurt Russell and Keith David at the end of the thing? Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. I forgot about that one. Oh shit. Oh my God.
That's why we love chat.
That is dudes rock right there. That is like, yeah, Kurt Russell and Keith David sitting there being like, let's share this bottle and see what happens. As they like, one of them's going to turn into an alien or they're going to freeze to death. They're going to have to kill each other. Like, beautiful. Like, yeah, the thing is probably is definitely my favorite 80s movie. It's in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. John Carpenter is a fucking auteur.
Yeah.
The shit holds up. They Live holds up amazingly.
They Live is so good. I watched that in the like the past year with my partner. I just keep seeing these clips from it. I'm like, I gotta watch this.
Yeah, I'd only seen bits and pieces of it myself until recently, and during the pandemic, me and the wife did like for a couple different date nights. I managed to convince her to watch John Carpenter movies with me, and awesome. Oh my, Escape from New York, like amazing. Anywho, I was gonna interrogate you, Dan. Let's talk. Can I ask? So you mentioned therapy for yourself. Have you ever been to therapy before? Can I ask?
I've not. No. Short answer, no. Long answer, no. Yeah.
But you mentioned that like does the prospect seem intriguing to you, scary, or if so, why? Can I ask?
Oh, I mean, just coming to terms with myself, dealing with anxiety. Life is suffering, and to an extent, and we can learn to deal with our suffering. We can learn to manage it. I want to help myself so that I can help others at the end of the day. I mean, I'm like you sort of pointed out, like you're almost worthless if you haven't worked on yourself first. You got to do the work. To that end, I've done a lot of personal work on myself, but having a professional at my side, I could see how that could be a useful toolkit to learn new things and help me help others at the end of the day, but also help me, and so I can feel better about life and all the anxieties that come with it. That's the short answer. And but yeah, generally speaking, I want to make the world a better place. I want my goals at this point are to build lefty unity, strength, and power, and so. I can't really do that if I'm full of shit myself, if I haven't done the work and taken the time to ask myself these kinds of questions, and perhaps I'll be able to better handle it with some professional help.
Yeah, Camel Spider brings up a good point. Actually, you read my mind, Camel Spider. This is exactly what I was going to say. But like, therapy is great. Even at a bare minimum, it's really helpful to have someone to listen to you complain for an hour and not feel like you're burdening your loved ones. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, my wife told me that she doesn't watch the stream, and she's not as much of a lefty as I am.
Yeah. Same.
Like, she's more of a lip. But she told me that I was very thankful when you started streaming because you had some place to rant at besides me.
Yeah, it's great. I like that. Yeah.
And obviously my therapist is the same. When I first started therapy, I hadn't had an outlet to unburden myself, barely at all. In fact, I'd moved to Arizona. I had no friends there. And so when I was going to college there and starting therapy, my social worker that I had that in the VA who was doing my therapy with me would have to kick me out. You'd have to be okay, Dick, our time is up. It's been up. I have other appointments to get to, stop ranting for a minute. Cause it was letting the plug off the bottle. Couldn't stop me. And sometimes we wouldn't even get to the act. I was doing exposure therapy. So it was actually me going over and over again, reliving in as much detail as possible some real trauma. Well, sometimes I would spend so much time ranting about just gripes of my everyday life and politics that we wouldn't even get to that. He would just be like, okay, come back next week and we'll start again. You obviously had to unpack some of this shit today, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't have any other response. I'm just wow. Right.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that, Dan, I would say if I could encourage you to do it, I would, like I said, I would encourage everyone to do it. It's a liberating experience. It truly is. And it can be really scary, for a lot of people. Like, there's a lot of people who are hesitant because, like, I have friends who have told me that, like, they didn't want to do it because they knew, like, the moment that they asked them, like, the moment the therapist started asking a question about, like, how was your childhood, they would start crying or something. You know? They were worried that if they unburdened them.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not laughing at them, just at the experience, guys. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm being
yeah,
insensitive.
No, that's exactly the proper reaction. It's just like, well, actually, there's a good analogy here. I took a class literally like on the pursuit of happiness or the science of happiness when I was in college. Mm-hmm. And they told me one of the most enlightening and saddest things I've ever heard in my life about how when they first started they were doing a study on how happy people were. You know, they were doing a qualitative study where they would ask people the same questions, 1,000 people or whatever, and then see what the results were to measure their happiness. And they would ask them, they had to remove a question from the survey because when they asked, do you ever feel like you're just putting on a happy face for the world and you don't actually feel that way? Too many people started breaking down into tears. So they had to remove the question.
Well, yeah. Self-fulfilling study there.
Exactly. So, like, it's often just the environment of, like, that was just a mental health professional in a private setting asking a question that, like, accidentally pierced the veil. And they were like, no, just like, and the bottle was open. But when it comes to trauma, people are afraid that, like, they'll literally go like psycho. They'll go beast mode or something. And that's not the case. Like, it's very rare reaction to it, especially with exposure therapy. Like, I had veteran buddies that were like, I can't talk about that. Like, do you know what would happen? You want me to cause myself that pain and tear open those old wounds? And I'm like, it's the exact opposite, dude. It's the exact opposite. You're unburdening yourself from the real trauma that you're suffering under, you know?
Dick, I really appreciate you sharing that. You're pushing me to do something outside of my comfort zone, and I really appreciate that. That's why we have you on. That's why we have different people on other than me, right? I'm increasingly getting tired of this stream being about one straight, cis white man's voice, and today we get to at least make it about two of us, but at least for this hour. All right, so Dick, I'm going to tell you what. We invited you here, like I mentioned, in the spirit of building lefty unity, strength, and power, and in the same spirit, I want to thank you again for sharing your story with us, sharing your the depth of the wisdom that you're able to share, because I thought you made a good point about wisdom before as well, and just thank you for being a beautiful human being, and love your face, Dick. I can't wait to give you a big hug.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on the show, and thanks for doing this. Thanks for doing the Leftist Chill and exposing your audience to a bunch of different people and views and stuff. I think what you're doing is cool and important, and thank you for letting me interrogate you for a little bit too. I appreciate that.
That was absolutely my pleasure. I'm looking forward to having you on for another round. We'll be able to have more time to chit-chat about other things as well. All right, Dick. Thank you so much, and take care. Love your face.
Sounds good, brother. Bye-bye.
Hey, bye. Oh, shit. Did I break it? Oh well. I'm 30 minutes away. Hey, YouTube. You're watching a clip from my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/iDanSimpson, where you can follow for free and subscribe for only $5 a month. Thanks for watching.